Hello there, World of Tankers. Welcome to the channel. Hopefully all of you are doing well out there. I'm, of course, your host, WZ Blitz, and in today's video, we're going to be doing another versus video. This time, the T-62A versus the WZ-121. Once again, you guys did vote and decide what you wanted to see pop up next on the channel. Of course, I love to do polls, helps me interact with you guys, and as well gives me a good, fun way to create content that you guys will enjoy and like. So, if you're new to the channel and you possibly have any tanks you want to see come out of a review on my channel, please make sure to smash that subscribe button down below, and as well keep an eye out on my notifications for polls. So we're going to be talking, as I said, about the T-62A and the WZ-121. Now, these tanks look very similar in nature, and that's of course because the Chinese tanks are pretty much knockoffs of the Russians. However, I will say the 121 is almost a better knockoff than the 62A, at least for my personal playstyle. We're going to start off with the 62A. Now, what is good about this tank and what is bad? So, of course, with the versus videos, I like to compare the strengths and the weaknesses between both of these vehicles. But the good thing about both of these tanks is they're fantastic in their own different ways. Now, I'm of course going to tell you which tank I do enjoy playing more, but I would say better-wise, I would actually rate both of them at the same level, because the T-62A has a great gun going for it. It's got amazing damage per minute, about 3,500. Now, of course, I'm running calibrated, so it's about 3,200, but it's still got great damage per minute. Not only that, now it has 7 degrees of gun depression, able to work pretty much any ridgeline in the game. The hull armor, it's not necessarily great, but one thing this tank does have is a very good turret, able to bounce a lot of shells. The accuracy on this tank is possibly the best accuracy in World of Tanks Blitz for pretty much a medium. It's not as good as the Leopard on dispersion, but if you look at the on-movement dispersion on this gun, it is literally a laser gun. So that is one thing that the 121 does not have, is the accuracy. Although on the same difference, the WZ-121 has the best aiming time in World of Tanks Blitz for a tier 10 medium. I think it's literally sitting at like 1.9 seconds, but again, this tank doesn't really bloom as it is in the first place, so, it's kind of a 50-50. So I'm, of course, going to be pushing my 62A rate to this bush here, able to work the gun depression, able to hold this position. Now, the 62A is not necessarily the fastest of tier 10 mediums. It only goes 50 kilometers per hour, and while it does have a decent power-to-weight ratio, it's really not going to be racing anywhere into position. Now, the enemy team does have a Void player, which I've got to be very careful of, and they do have double IS-7. They've got a lot of heavily armored vehicles, which means I'm very suspicious right off the bat that they are going to be pushing all their tanks towards the heavy side, which any average player probably would be. So I'm going to push right to this spot here. This is usually where you spot a lot of vehicles trying to cross through mid, so we're going to do that. There's the 95E6. We got the Foch, so yep, there we go. There is the IS-7, and oof, a big shell getting slammed right into the frontal armor of my tank, which I kind of expected. I didn't think he was going to be aiming directly at me, but by the time I saw him, it was kind of too late. So I'm going to be a little bit careful here. One thing I will say is the 62A does not have the best hull armor. It's only about 190 millimeters, and that's with full angle and everything like that. So you're really not going to be expecting to bounce any shells anytime soon. But at the same time, it does get the occasional bounce. The turret, as I said, is good. But yeah, it's not really going to be the best at bouncing all the shells. Now, I bet that the IS-7's waiting for me. There's the IS-7. Am I detected? Yes, I am, which of course is not good for me. The issue right now is my team is already down a tier 10 heavy. Not sure why they are, but yeah, not necessarily the best for me. Our team, yeah, they're kind of blowing it. So, not really sure who I'm going to push on. We got Anomaly, who is separated from the team, but we also got tanks like the E6 off to the side over here, who I really think I can maybe get some shells into. So let's start to see if I can bully this E6 over to the front here. My 268, not necessarily doing the best of jobs, but here we go. There's one nice tap into the E6. Nobody else is really aiming at me, so I'm going to start trying to get even more shells into the E6. Got a nice little HE into his butt. I'm not sure what this 30B is doing, but you know what? Oh, that was, I'm not really sure why that shot did that, but that's not the end of the planet, because this 30B, as you can see, is going to be taken out very, very quickly. I don't want to be hit, of course, by that E6, but using auto-aim, finishing him off. Now we've got to deal with all that over there as well. Now we got the E6 right off to the side. Nice little finishing shell into him. This is where, of course, that really quick reload, the high DPM on this tank is really able to get out those damaging shots. You can see that the tank did a pretty solid job. Now the IS-4 on my team is kind of screwed. He's alone, as you can see, and while the IS-7 did get hit quite hard there, you're definitely going going to notice a lot of bad stuff is going to start happening. But the main guy I really want to try and clear is, of course, the other Void player in the IS-7. So that's exactly what I'm going to be heading towards. We got the Foch crossing the river right there. Nice little tap right in the side of the Foch. Of course, I want to get that shot out. And while I am detected, that's definitely something I needed to do right off of the bat. So now we've got the IS-7 who looks like he's going to try and get me in the side here. I'm going to try and make my way as quickly away as I possibly can because, yeah, not necessarily something I want to do. So let's see. We got the 183 right out in the open. Let's see if I can get a nice little tap. There you go. Nice tap right into the 183's turret. And, of course, now that I can use this position here, let's track the 183. Or, yeah, there's the nice tracking shot into the 183. Did get hit by the enemy over there, but there's really not much I can do about that, of course. But he's taken out, which is perfect for me, which means now I can kind of work this 263. So there's a nice tap into the side of the 263's armor. Now I'm going to try and get to the rear of the 263. So let's see if I can do that. Come on. Yes. Okay, this is perfect, of course. I'm going to try and get side shots into the 263. Just going to keep holding him on the side here. I'm probably going to get hit here, which, of course, did just happen. But, again, got a nice high roll into the 263, able to finish him off. I'm really kicking some serious butt in the 62A, which, of course, is something that's very, very good. So there we go. Nice little tap into you. We've got the I-7 across the map. Finish him off. And this game, which I actually expected to be a loss. I honestly thought that this was going to be a very quick loss. Actually turned into a spectacular victory. Over 4,000 damage dealt, and as you can see, a very, very clear win for the T-62A. So this was a great game to show how the T-62A works. It's got great DPM, it's got great armor, the gun is fantastic. I don't think I bounced really any shots that game other than that one weird miss that I had on the T-95E6, but honestly, you can see that the gun is great on the tank, the DPM is great, there's really nothing bad I can say about the 62A, and this is a fantastic vehicle to currently grind in World of Tanks Blitz, especially because the line is actually very easy to go for. The T-44 has 7 degrees of gun depression, good damage per shot, everything is going for you on the vehicle. When you go to the WZ-121, while the Tier 10 is spectacular, I will say for a new player trying to grind the Tier 9 medium tank, the WZ-120 is possibly the worst stock grind you can do in World of Tanks, because first of all, the gun on the tank stock is awful. You can see the penetration isn't good at 190, while the damage per shot is decent, the gun's really not going to be getting anywhere. Not only will you're dealing with that, it's extremely slow because the engine power is awful, the average speed is bad, and once you even get the top gun on this tank, it's only sitting at 3 degrees of gun depression. So even the vehicle top upgraded is still very tricky to run. I'm in fact always trying to rub my butt up against walls and other stuff, just trying to get gun depression out in the WZ-120. But the 121 is a completely different story. This vehicle only has a 2.2 second aiming time with dispersion of 0.336. It's definitely, I think, the worst dispersion out of all Tier 10 mediums in the game, but that makes sense because with the aiming time being so fantastic and for a massive 122mm gun, it definitely makes sense that it doesn't have necessarily the most accurate gun on dispersion. I just love the look of this tank. It is a much beefier build than the T-62A. You heard me saying that the T-62A's hull armor wasn't necessarily the best, at about 190, 180mm. The hull armor on the WZ-121 is very, very thick, 230mm in fact, base, which is pretty dang impressive. If you're angling it, you can actually get a lot of bounces from vehicles like Bat Chats from their APCR shells over angling. Even a T-92A only has about a 50-50 chance, same for the Sheridan, to penetrate this tank with standard ammunition. That's definitely something that's very nice for the tank. Now we got that Foch, and okay, I don't know where that shot went, but of course that's one of the issues with the dispersion. Now I'm going to run away from that Sheridan's missile, but of course because that Sheridan seems to be the only tank over here, I'm going to try and chase him down. Now hopefully it's not that I am. Okay, so there are 2 tanks over here, which is definitely not necessarily the best for me, but I'm going to try and angle the hull the best of my abilities here to get that bounce. As I said, the hull armor on this tank is good enough, but I don't know. Apparently that Sheridan can just shoot right through my armor without any effort. So I'm, of course, as I said, just going to try and clear the Sheridan right now. There's another nice tap right up the butt. This T-92, while he can tap me, I really got to clear the Sheridan like right now. So there's a nice little love tap. Got another ram into him. Come on, I can get him. Yes, he's taken out. Now it's the T-92A1. I'm just dealing with a lot of pain right now, but that's fine. I'm getting out the damage. That is exactly what I want to do, and thankfully my team came in for the rescue. So that was a pretty solid battle right off the bat. We've got the IS-7, and let that aiming time zoom in. Beautiful snap, of course, right into the IS-7's track wheel, and that's, of course, where dispersion doesn't really matter. When you have an aiming time that quick, and you're able to aim in a small enough circle on the enemy vehicle, it It doesn't really matter, of course, what your aiming time is, or not your aiming time, but your dispersion is, because you're always going to be able to hit the shot. Again, another nice tap over matching the side armor on that IS-7's track wheel, tracking him in place. That's always what I want to try and do here. So this is where I can just absolutely wreck the IS-7 in the DPM standards here. Now, of course, the only issue is that, oh, actually, that was a pretty stupid shot from that IS-7, but the only issue here is that, of course, that IS-7 can easily just take me out right now. I've also got that E5, who looks like he really wants to push on me here, but if this IS-7 pulls out, which he did, I'm going to get a nice little tap into him. I'm going to put on my adrenaline here. Let's see if we can get one more nice tap right into the vehicle's side. Oh, come on, you know. Oh, he stops, which is definitely good for me. He's now not looking at my tank anymore, which means he just fired, and let's get a finishing shell right in the lower plate. So, yeah, you can see that the 121 is also another spectacular tier 10 medium. I love this tank. In fact, I will say, I do actually enjoy playing this vehicle more than I enjoy playing the T-62A. I just like having the fact of a big gun mounted on a mobile medium. As I said, it's just something that's really enjoyable to play. I, of course, love shooting the big guns as well. Just the aiming time as well makes it so fun to play. Even when this tank first came out, I always enjoyed playing the tank. So as you can see, two very solid games from both of the vehicles played here. 4,600 damage played from the 121, and as well, I did 4,400, I think it was, in the T-62A. So both very solid games, as you can see. As I said, I enjoy playing the 121 more. I think the line is a little bit more exciting because, of course, you get those big-barreled guns. Even the T-34 too. Well, actually, in fact, the entire line for the 121 has big-barreled hitters, should I say. So this tank here, 420 damage per shot. Then you move on to the 120, it's dealing 400 damage a shot. The T-34-2 is dealing as well 400 damage per shot. And the T-34-1, one of my favorite tier 7 mediums in the game, actually has the only, I think it's a 90 millimeter, is it? Yeah, 100 millimeter. It's the only 100 millimeter mounted on a tier 7 medium in World of Tanks Blitz, dealing 280 damage. So this is pretty much getting like your T-54 Mod 1, the T-44 gun mounted on a tier 7 tank. So I love the Chinese tanks just because they're unique in the guns they have mounted and the ways they play. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Which tank you enjoy playing better? I love the 121, and I always will. I'll always more as well than the 62A, just because the issue for me with the 62A is it's kind of good at everything, but it's just kind of a cliche tank. It's got decent mobility, it's got decent turret armor, it's got great aiming time, great DPM. It doesn't really have any downsides or upsides. The 121's got such a big aiming time on it, or not aiming time, but, you know, the dispersion when you're driving is awful. But as soon as you stop, it's so great just to see that aiming circle go right down for 2.2 seconds. So I love the 121, and as I said, I always will. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. If you enjoyed today's video, though, please make sure to smash that subscribe button down below. But other than that, I'll be seeing you in the next one.